Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing great. Happy Saturday. We got college football here, championship weekend. A lot of good action on the board. So go ahead and like and subscribe. Check out all my links in the description below. And go ahead and sign up with ParlayPlay, guys. Get $10 in risk-free entries when you guys sign up. Use it on college football. There's straight up over-unders. Pretty awesome. $100 free tournament for college football starts at noon. So go ahead and hop in there, guys. Multiple chances for you guys to get free money. So go ahead and hop in there in the link below. And hopefully some of you guys could cash out. That'd be super cool. And yeah, we'll hop into it. Got 9 matchups, championship matchups. Super fun Saturday. Starting with Baylor versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State opening up as 6-point favorites with the over-under at 46.5. The last 10 head-to-head, Baylor 6-4, 5-5 covering in those matchups. The over-under in this series is just 4-6. Baylor coming off a 27-24 win over Texas Tech. Oklahoma State coming off a 37-33 win over Oklahoma. Baylor 7-13 in their last 20 against Oklahoma State, so not really getting it done there. Just 5-11 covering against Oklahoma State, and their quarterback Bohannon is questionable. He's been hurt the last 1.5, 2 games. That's gonna be a big factor to see if he plays. Oklahoma State 5-0 against the Big 12. 11-1 in their last 12, playing great football here. 9-0-1 covering in their last 10. I love Oklahoma State here. Their offense is just really great, and their defense is incredible. Really great on both sides of the ball. And if Bohannon can't play for Baylor, it's going to be a lot of trouble. I just think, Oklahoma State, so much. They really need to win this game. A lot on the line. Obviously, it's the championship game here for them. They've just been the most fun team this season. I'm backing the Cowboys. Yeah, we're rolling with Oklahoma State. -6, -150. Take them on the money line, sure. Next matchup, we have Kent State versus NIU. Kent State opening up as 3.5-point favorites with the over-under at 74.5. The last 10 head-to-head, NIU 9-1, 6-4 covering in those matchups. The over-under in this series is just 6-4. Kent State coming off a 48-47 win over Miami, Ohio. NIU coming off a 42-21 loss against Western Michigan. Kent State, they really have struggled against NIU. 1-10. They are 4-2 covering against NIU here, but I like NIU in this matchup. +3.5, I think it's a perfect spread. Been the slightly better team this season. Been the better head-to-head team here. We'll take NIU plus the points. Next matchup, we have Utah State versus San Diego State. San Diego State opening up as 6-point favorites with the over-under at 49.5. The last 5 head-to-head, San Diego State 4-1, 4-1 covering in those matchups with an over-under of 3-2 so far. Utah State coming off a 35-10 win over New Mexico. San Diego State coming off a 27-16 win over Boise. Utah State, their quarterback Peasley's doubtful, so he won't be available, which definitely does hurt. San Diego State's quarterback Johnson, he is out. So a lot of quarterback injuries on both sides here. They have multiple quarterbacks. Brookshire starting for San Diego State. Utah State just 1-4 covering against San Diego State here. I think this has got to be San Diego State. The way they've played this season, unbelievable season. They need to go out on top here, win their conference title. That would just make them look a lot better here. 6-point spread. We're taking San Diego State. Cheap money line here. Taking the better team to win their conference. Rolling with the Aztecs. Next matchup, we have Appalachian State versus Louisiana Lafayette. App State opening up as 3-point favorites with the over-under at 52.5. The last 10 head-to-head, App State 8-2, 5-5 covering in this matchup. The over-under so far in this series is just 2-8. App State coming off a 27-3 win over Georgia Southern. Lafayette coming off a 21-16 win over Monroe. These teams played earlier this year, and Louisiana beat them 41-13. App State's defense looking really good their last few games. I mean, they've given up 3, 7, and 7 in their last 3 weeks. Really solid on the defensive end here. On a 6-game winning streak, 5-1 covering in their last 6 championship games. I mean, for the most part, they're usually pretty close here. I like Lafayette. Gonna buy a half a point, get them plus 3.5, and we're rolling with the Raging Cajuns. Next matchup, we have Georgia versus Bama. Georgia opening up as 6.5 point favorites with the over/under at 49.5. The last 10 head-to-head, Bama 7-3. Georgia's 5-4-1 covering in those matchups. The over/under in this series is 8-2. Georgia, I mean, we know coming off a 45-0 win over Georgia Tech. Bama coming off that overtime thriller against Auburn, 24-22. Georgia just 0-6 against Bama. Bama's been their only downfall, but Georgia hasn't been this good really on a long time. I mean, they've just never been this elite on defense and offense. This is really Georgia's year. No team's been able to really keep up with them. We know Bama's great, but defense not as great as it usually is. You can score on Bama. A lot of teams have been able to do that so far here. I like Georgia in this matchup. I mean, they really need to beat Bama here. I just think it's going to be tough. We've seen Bama struggle last week against Auburn. They've had their games where they've struggled to score and put up drives, and it's not going to get any easier against the best defense in football. Going to be tough. Georgia's going to be able to put up a lot of points. Will Bama be able to score a lot of points on this Georgia defense? We have no idea. Rolling with Georgia here, minus 6.5. Add them to your money line parlays. Just finish out the regular season undefeated. Rolling with the Bulldogs. Next matchup, we have Houston versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati opening up as 10.5 point favorites with the over/under at 53. The last 10 head-to-head, Cincy 7-3, 7-2-1 covering in those matchups. The over/under in the last 7 is just 3-4. Houston coming off a 45-17 win over UConn. Cincy coming off a 35-13 win over East Carolina. Houston on a 10-game winning streak, 6-0 on the road. I mean, big game, both teams. I mean, Cincinnati can go 13-0. They have playoff hopes here. Houston, been great this season. Have a solid defense. They can put up points just as good as anybody here. 10.5 points. I just think that's too much. Going to be a very competitive game, and Houston's going to definitely be... Houston could easily win this game, and 10.5 points is just too much, I think, and what's going to be a pretty close game. Give me the Cougars plus 10.5. Next matchup, we have Michigan versus Iowa. Michigan opening up as 11-point favorites with the over/under at 43.5. The last 10 head-to-head, both teams 5-5. Michigan is 6-4 covering in those matchups. The over/under in this series is 4-6. Michigan coming off a dominant win over Ohio State, 42-27. Iowa coming off a 28-21 win over Nebraska. Michigan 7-1 covering in their last 8, 6-3 covering against Iowa. Iowa on a 4-game winning streak, playing pretty good football here as of late, but Iowa's they are not really a scoring team. Their defense is good, but you can score on Iowa. Michigan, elite on both sides of the ball. Elite running game. I mean, we saw they just ran through Ohio State's defense. That's much better than Iowa. I like Michigan minus 11 here. Definitely adding them to my money line parlays. It's just going to be tough for Iowa to put up a lot of points on this Michigan defense. And I'm rolling with Michigan here. Next matchup, we have the Pittsburgh Panthers versus the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Pitt opening up as 3.5 point favorites with the over/under at 71.5. The last 10 head-to-head, these teams have only played once. Pitt 1-0. dominating Wake Forest 34-13 in that last matchup. Pitt coming off a 31-14 win over Syracuse. Wake Forest coming off a 41-10 win over Boston College. Pitt 8-1 in their last 9, 7-2 covering in their last 9. Wake Forest 10-2 in their last 12. They're 4-2 covering in their last 6. Really going to be a battle. I mean, two great teams for the ACC championship, two great quarterbacks. Going to be a lot of points put up here. Really, it's going to come down to who has the ball last, taking Wake plus the points in a shootout. Then the last matchup, we have USC versus California. Cal opening up as 4.5-point favorites with the over-under at 57.5. The last 10 head-to-head, USC 9-1, 7-3 covering in those matchups. The over-under in this series is just 3-7. USC on a 3-game losing streak, coming off a 35-31 loss against BYU. Cal coming off a 42-14 loss against UCLA. Both teams struggling, aren't playing that good here. I'm taking USC plus the points. I mean, you can't really trust either team here. 4.5 points is too much. Yeah, we'll take the Trojans here. And that's going to be it for the video. Good luck with your picks and parlays on Saturday. And I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good one.